Staying on topic of multiplayer games, our next topic comes from Richard Jenkins in Staffordshire, UK.
Oh, whoa.
He says, new listener, really look forward to the weekly podcast, so please keep up the good work.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really enjoying Star Wars Battlefront and Rainbow Six Siege at the moment, and cannot wait for Tom Clancy's The Division, which are all online only until one day the servers get pulled, which would leave this type of game in limbo.
Yeah.
So my question is, are we buying these games, or are we actually just renting server time, because these games will become redundant with time? Does this really matter? Surely by the time the server switched off, the sequel will presumably be out and the community will have moved on. For example, does anyone still play Call of Duty World at War?
Great question. He's raising an issue that stretches into legal arenas, into philosophical areas that can get fuzzy really fast. But there are people right now working to have special allowances made to Digital Millennium Copyright Act laws just so they can run old game servers, so that these aren't lost forever.
Like MMOs that went offline.
Yeah, exactly. MMOs that go offline, or games that rely on servers to work. There are some special allowances being granted to allow people to run or to host servers so that these aren't lost, so that we'll be able to look back in 50 years and go, oh yeah, that was an important part of, that was a step in history. This thing happened there. But I think, no, you're renting the time. You're paying money and you're renting it because sooner or later it'll be gone. And we could get really philosophical and say, well, someday my disk is going to suffer laser rot. And someday my EEPROM is going to fail in my cartridge because everything made out of silicon and plastic breaks sooner or later.
That's definitely something I think about. I have a kid, and someday she is gonna get all my Super Nintendo carts and all my. I have a big box of like PS2 games, and up through that era. But technically, like when I die, my Steam account goes with me, and my Steam account has I think 800 games in it now. Like I don't own those games. Like I have a license to play those games.
Yeah, tell your password.
I guess that is a separate issue, but it ties into, these multiplayer servers will go offline someday, and when the game is multiplayer only, like, that's it.
Felicity, the password. Password 1, 2, 3. Oh,
It's the same password. But that's perfect. This is why, despite everything that's done to video game sales, emulation is maybe the best thing in the world for games in the long haul. Because the fact is it allows us to preserve these things that would otherwise be lost to the ravages of time, the fickleness of online stores. There may come a day when Amazon.com doesn't exist anymore. That sounds ludicrous right now, that there might not be a Steam or an Amazon, but bigger companies than those have failed.
But you're only talking about the preservation aspect of it, not the aspect of I paid $60 for Super Metroid 20 years ago and I can still play that copy of Super Metroid, but I can't play a wide range of EA and Activision and Ubisoft games where their servers have been turned off. So there has to be an expectation of, I do think some companies are better about it than others, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to look anything up before I came in here, but I think Ubisoft keeps their servers on for a long, long time, and I think Call of Duty 4's servers are still up as far as I know, but EA, on the other hand, is known for they'll shut down a sports game after not very long.
Well, actually, that's where I'm going with this. We are talking in the same direction because I'm talking about things like server emulation as well. The ability to circumvent the copy protections that are laid out by companies to keep, the things are like, oh yeah, you have to log in with your game off the web to do that, or there's got to be a server. People make efforts to keep these old games together just so they are preserved, both for people who want to play them and people who want to remember them. And while there are tremendous legal and ethical questions around that, I do think it's important. People are making efforts to make that happen.
I think there should probably be a guarantee. I don't know if it's a legal guarantee or just a promise from the company to keep servers up a minimum amount of time. That's going to be tough for a smaller, if you're making a small indie MMO and you're like, yo, sorry, we made this promise, but we couldn't stick to it. But if you're an EA or an Activision or a Ubisoft, I would feel more comfortable if they say, look, come hell or high water, we will keep the servers up for Evolve for 3 years.
Right. Yeah. But are there games you want to play now that you can't anymore? I mean, if I ever wanted to play Vanilla WoW, is there a way?
No, I don't know. I mean, Dark Age of Camelot.
Huh? Wow,
deep kind of like it.
Yeah.
I think about it mostly with MMOs more so than competitive games. Yeah.
But I think about things that had tech that
I want to play Vanilla WoW. That world's gone in Cataclysm now.
And then there are games, again, some of the ones, especially from earlier in this decade, that forced you to log into a server or at least get a key every time you popped on. If that server's not there anymore,
Yeah.
the game just stops working.
And that's
I would play Crimson Skies or Phantom Dust on the original
oh
Xbox.
my god, Phantom Dust! I would play it with you.
I'll play Crimson Skies with you.
You guys are so close to getting a new Phantom Dust game.
I know we had it ripped from our
You
hands.
like fell backward in your chair at
Yeah,
E3.
in the E3
At the
War
announcement?
Room. Yeah,
Yeah.
at the E3 War Room when they announced it, I stood up and yelled,
Yeah.
and everyone in the war room looked at me like,
No, I was with you.
I-
Phantom Dust is so dope.
oh my god, such a dope game. But just
I
to
like that game.
But
You would've loved
real
that
quick, I think like what we're kind of like meandering off onto here is the idea of like the game not. It's more like an idea of digital versus physical that you're kind of exploring a little bit, whereas the idea of online only versus not online only is a little bit of a different question also, because so like you kind of start leaning towards it there at the end. Is that if the game never needed to be online, like if it was just something that was done for DRM reasons, then it's ludicrous that at some point I lose the ability to play that game.
Yeah, it's a tangled web.
Yeah, that said though, if the game is online only because the idea is that it relies on a community of players to be active within it, well, that's a community of players is the one thing you can't emulate, right? You can emulate servers, you can emulate software.
You can't emulate friends.
You can't emulate friends.
That's what bots are for. So my best friends are bots. I do think
That's an
that
incredibly sad
this was
statement.
this was Richard, right? I think short answer, Richard, is that you are renting the game until one day you will have to steal it.
Until you have to steal it.
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, you shouldn't have to steal it.
I want
No,
another
it shouldn't have.
SSX that doesn't have a bunch of online baloney in it.
Did the last one have a bunch of online baloney?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it actually wasn't baloney. It was okay. Like I kind of liked it, but again, I just suspect that there's no community there anymore, and it hung its whole hat on that community. And now what do you do?
Sure. I mean, I guess it also comes down to how many hours you got out of it too. Like I can see where you're coming at it from, but I think it's also kind of a cynical way of framing it though. I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, if you paid the money to have the game and you played it for 2 years straight and got 300 hours of gameplay out of it, like, and then you moved on to something else, and then quietly a year later, without you even realizing it, they turned the servers off. You didn't get you don't have to steal the game, and you didn't rent it. You paid X amount of money for X amount of enjoyment, and you're in
It's
there.
actually probably like a user agreement that you agreed to.
Yeah.
That says that they might turn the servers off someday.